I think it's very much the same for a lot of midwives. I think we get into the profession because we love women and we love our bodies and we love, babies and the process of, physiological labor and birth. And unfortunately, in the hospitals and in the medical system, a lot of that is kind of left out along the way, and it's more so kind of medical.
Thanks for tuning into this episode of Mom Talks with Krista. I hope everyone is having a great week so far. I got a great episode for you guys today. I talked with Sarah from the Midwife Mummy, and she talks all about hypnobirthing. We get so many questions about hypnobirthing, asking what it is, what it entails. And man, after talking to her, I was like, that sounds amazing. So check out the episode. We just had a really great conversation. She's super knowledgeable into hypnobirthing and how she got into it. So yeah, it's a great episode. I think you guys are going to learn a lot, and share it with your friends that are either expecting currently or are thinking about having another baby. It's just a whole new avenue of how to have a baby. And don't forget to stick around at the end, where we are reading our Mom Tales of the Week. These are our weekly questions we post on social media, just to get a little spin and your take on motherhood for some different topics. So without further ado, here's my interview with Sarah all about hypnobirthing. Welcome, Sarah. Thanks for coming on.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
I'm very excited. So just to get started, can you just tell us a little bit about you and what you do, and we'll kind of go from there?
I'm Sarah. I live in Melbourne, Victoria, which is in Australia. And I am a registered midwife, a registered nurse. I have 2 kids and I'm a childbirth educator. So I've been registered as a midwife and nurse for going on 7 years now. And I've loved it from the very second that I, started my training even. So midwifery is my passion. But after having my own kids and kind of being in the medical system and working within a hospital, I kind of felt that being in that, I guess, environment where it is very medical and there are a lot of interventions, I just felt like I could do a lot more to help women. And so after I had my second baby, which I had at home. So my first daughter I had in a hospital, and then my son I had at home. And I think that experience just really changed my life. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had. And I really wanted to share that. And after that, I kind of felt like this is what birth is meant to be. And then I kind of just felt that I wanted to get into education, and I feel like that's my way of how I can support women so much more than I could ever do in a hospital environment. So then I was thinking about what courses I wanted to teach, and I saw Hypnobirthing Australia. So with Hypnobirthing, there are a lot of different companies, but Hypnobirthing Australia is what really caught my eye. And then kind of going through that course and learning about everything that it is and, learning how to teach the course, everything that I learned and that I was going to teach women just 100% resonated with my soul, I guess you could say. And a lot of the things that I teach in the course or that I learned, I was like, oh my God, I did that for my labor, and I did that during my pregnancy, and I did use those techniques during my birth. I just didn't know it. So I'm like, this is 100% the course that I want to teach for women. And I really do believe that it makes such a difference.
That's amazing. That's so cool. I love it, always hearing like the journey stories of how you kind of got to where you're at and why you chose the profession you're in. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah, thanks. I think it's very much the same for a lot of midwives. I think we get into the profession because we love women and we love our bodies and we love, babies and the process of, physiological labor and birth. And unfortunately, in the hospitals and in the medical system, a lot of that is kind of left out along the way, and it's more so kind of medical. And so, yeah, it kind of digs at your soul a little bit every time you're there and seeing, unfortunate, circumstances that leave women kind of, traumatized after birth.
So for anyone that doesn't know, what is hypnobirthing? How would you
Yeah. So I think there are a lot of misconceptions about hypnobirthing. I think a lot of people think like it's, waving a pendulum in front of your face or like clicking fingers and, in that second the mum's hypnotized and, she's in a trance. But the way I kind of like to explain it is it's more so like a deep relaxation or guided meditation is how I would best describe hypnobirthing. So it does use hypnosis techniques during birth, and that's where they get the term hypnobirthing. But for me, it is more of that deep relaxation, guided meditation, and kind of just using that to change mum's mindset during pregnancy so that, if there are fears or there are anxieties around labor and birth and that whole process, what we can do is then kind of get rid of those negative thoughts and replace them with positive thoughts and create that positive mindset throughout the pregnancy, and then giving mum and dad or mum and the support person tools to use throughout so they can stay calm, relaxed and positive, and that really helps to keep mum in control. And then she's more likely, to have a really good positive experience because she's able to make informed decisions because she's staying calm and positive. So it really does help to benefit, the whole experience.
That's amazing. That's so cool to hear about, because I kept hearing people talk about it and I was like, I had never quite understood what it was like fully. And so to hear you explain it that way is really quite relaxing actually to think about. And that sounds awesome. I'm sure a lot of moms listening are like, that sounds very ideal to be in that relaxed state. Because I think a lot of times our minds so quickly put in negative thoughts or, the anxiety and fear around it.
Yeah, 100%. And especially if that's kind of all you've heard, growing up or into pregnancy, everyone likes to kind of get out their birth experience. And, unfortunately, a lot of those are negative birth stories, or they're like, make sure you get the epidural straight away, or, opting for a cesarean instead of going natural and things like that. And it's all about fear. It's not kind of about the reality of labor and birth. So I also find that, during the course, and I think it's, different to other courses, especially ones that you would generally do in a hospital, is that we go over what your body is actually doing and the process of pregnancy and labor and birth, and how amazing that transformation is and how resilient and strong our body is. And I find that once women fully understand what their body is actually going to do, it gives them a lot of relief. And like, they're like, oh, like when you understand what your body is doing, I think it makes it a lot easier, to experience the sensations of labor.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's kind of like knowledge is power kind of thing. Like the more we understand and learn about it, we're going to feel more powerful and empowered in that. That's really
Yeah, 100%. And that's the message.
Love that. So you kind of talked about some of the benefits of hypnobirthing, but what are some other key benefits that our listeners should be aware of?
With hypnobirthing, I think the benefit is you stay calm and you stay relaxed and you create and maintain a positive mindset throughout your pregnancy, your labor and your birth. But, it also can reduce the need for interventions, reduces labor time. So a lot of women that do hypnobirthing or that are more knowledgeable, and I've even found this with a lot of my clients that I teach, is that their labors are a lot quicker. They don't feel that they need any pain relief as well. So it reduces your need for pain relief. Reduces cesarean sections, reduces instrumental births, it increases spontaneous labors, so it will decrease inductions, and increases vaginal births as well. So, I thought it was kind of a coincidence after I started teaching this course that a lot of the first time mums that I were teaching were coming to me and being like, oh, my labor was only like, 8 hours long or 4 hours long. And, I didn't have an epidural, and I got to the hospital and I was, nearly ready to push and things like that. So, one or two, I'm just like, oh my God, that's amazing. Like, that's so good. And then, it was more and more. And I'm like, no, this is not a coincidence. Like, this is because they were informed and empowered and, stayed in control. And it really shows in the results.
That's amazing. And so I know you're talking about you have a course that moms can take. And so what other things can moms do to help prepare for their birth up till that point?
I'd highly recommend a class. So it doesn't have to be hypnobirthing, just any type of class, preferably outside of the hospital that you're teaching. So going to a private, maybe midwife or childbirth educator, and doing some classes during pregnancy with your partner. Also, I find doing a breastfeeding class as well is really beneficial. And then, looking after your body. I think if you look after your body will look after you. And during pregnancy, I don't think a lot of women understand what their body is going through. Like, they're literally creating life from nothing, just using their own body and the energy that their body has. They're creating a little human that is like amazing and takes a lot out of you. So, doing things like acupuncture or myotherapy, or seeing an osteo or a physio, a women's health or pelvic floor physio as well. Yeah, just really looking after your body and nourishing your body, eating good foods and all that kind of stuff. If you're not, eating food, making sure you're, getting your bloods done and, maybe taking supplements or things like that. But really just looking after your body, listening to your body, tuning in, because that's ultimately going to help your recovery and your postpartum period as well.
And so if someone listening is like, that sounds amazing, I want to try hypnobirthing, what should they look for when they find a location, or is this something that's typically done in your own home and you have a midwife come in? How does that kind of look?
The company that I teach for is Hypnobirthing Australia, and they do teach in many countries as well. So there's practitioners in many countries, including Australia and the US. So going onto the website, Hypnobubs or Hypnobirthing Australia for in Australia, and you can find all the practitioners and find a location for you, whether it's in person or, online courses or even over Zoom as well. But I think the main thing is, maybe having a chat with that practitioner before, booking into the class or booking into any class, is having a chat with them and seeing if you kind of gel and mesh and you like their, philosophy and you like, what they stand for and you get along. I think trust is a really big thing as well. So I think if you get along with that person, then, they're probably the right person to teach you.
Yeah, definitely. And do you recommend that mom, like their partner comes to class with them, is involved in everything?
Oh, it's a must. Partners, I think when I teach couples, it's as much for the partner as it is for mum, because at the end of the day, it's both of them going through that experience, and the partners need to be there as mum's advocate. And I find that, when partners are a lot more knowledgeable and informed, it makes the experience even better because they're comfortable, they're relaxed and they're calm, and they know exactly what's going on, and they know what mum's preferences are, and they know how to best support mum with, physical techniques and hands-on techniques, but also to be there as, mum's support person, that moral support and that, empathy and things like that. So 100% partners.
Awesome. And is there anyone that you would say shouldn't try hypnobirthing, or they might have like a harder time with it? Or is it pretty much recommended for most women?
I think it's recommended for everyone, and it doesn't matter what kind of birth, you want, or, if there's special circumstances around your pregnancy. So if you have medical conditions or, during pregnancy, if there's an issue with baby or something like that, it's not about having that, natural vaginal birth. It's about feeling empowered, feeling confident, and feeling informed, and being able to stay calm and relaxed. So whether you've booked in for a cesarean, or, you have to be more monitored during your labor for whatever reason, or you're having an induction, you're having a home birth. It doesn't matter what type of birth you want or you're going to have. Hypnobirthing, I think, birthing classes are for everyone.
Awesome. I love that. It was kind of relating to the person I just interviewed before. This is a labor and delivery nurse. And she's like, education is key. Like it's just so powerful. Everyone that's involved needs to be educated and just, see what works best for them. That's awesome. So what are your best tips? I know we want to talk also a little bit about postnatal preparation. So what are your best tips for moms listening to prepare for that next part in their journey?
I forgot to mention as well, hiring a doula. So, again, it's just having that extra support person who is knowledgeable and confident, that can be there with you the whole way through. So during your pregnancy, is there during your labor and birth, and does see you in that postpartum period as well. So a doula would be like one of my first doing the birthing classes. I think to set up for a good postpartum period, I think your birth is what really can affect it. So if you have, a negative birth experience, it can translate into, a rough transition into motherhood. So, really preparing for your birth, being confident and empowered, because that's going to, again, translate to being confident and empowered in how you parent and how you mother and how you feel after you've had your baby, and how you're creating that bond at birth. But then making sure you're feeling supported, maybe hiring a cleaner if you can, or if family want to come and visit you, then they're there to support you instead of you kind of catering for them. Having people that are coming to your house, either, doing your dishes or your laundry or cleaning up after you, or bringing you groceries or bringing you, pre-cooked food, things like that. And then I guess also knowing that if you do need help, make sure you ask for it. You don't have to do everything on your own, and no one can, and no one is expected to know everything, whether it's your first or your fifth child. You're not expected to know everything, and you're not expected to do everything yourself. So really making sure that when you need support or you need help or you need a break, then do it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think it can't be said enough to not be afraid to ask for help, because I think as women, we tend to want to nurture and cater for other people, but especially postpartum, you really need to take that time for yourself, for your baby, and just allow those moments for sure.
Yeah. And, you can, I think one of the things I did that was, me time, is I continued acupuncture and seeing my doctor of Chinese medicine throughout my postpartum period. And that was like an hour of me time, to reconnect with my body and to have that, rest where I don't have to worry about anything else. So, looking after your body again afterwards is really important.
That's amazing. And I'm curious, as you're talking too, have there been studies or, stories about people that have done hypnobirthing? Is their postpartum experience a little bit different too? If they kind of go into it the more natural or relaxed route, does that affect, their postpartum at all?
I have clients that, they've literally just had their baby and they're like, I can't wait to do it again.
Oh, wow.
And you can really tell the difference with the women that have had really positive experiences. And again, whether it be a vaginal birth or an emergency cesarean, because I've had clients have both, and both are, really speak really positively about their experience, and they're a lot more calmer during that transition into motherhood. And I think when you learn to trust your body and trust your intuition, and you learn to stay calm and relaxed, you take that with you, not just for the birth, but afterwards. So, you do build up that intuition with your baby, and that, connection with your baby that you would have had during pregnancy makes it easier to care for them afterwards as well. And then, the women that do have those traumatic birth experiences, I really do feel for them, and it's horrible because they do take that into their postpartum period. And I think that's, one of the reasons why women would experience postnatal depression or anxiety is a lot around their birth, and how they feel about their birth.
Mhm.
So I think it can positively or negatively affect your, the early parenting experience.
Yeah. And I forgot to ask before too, with the hypnobirthing, like, is there a pretty standard, like set procedure for each person, or is it kind of individual to what brings them peace or kind of what they talk to with, their midwife or doula?
The tools and techniques are kind of pretty standard, but there's so much that, you get from, even the course. I can only speak from the course I teach, but there are so many tools and techniques and different things that you can use. So it's really about what resonates with you most and what you feel, would help you the most. And you might not know what that is until you're in labor or you are birthing, but you know, having all of those tools with you, you get to pick and choose what ones you think will work and what ones, you might not. But having everything available to you, I think, is what's important.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, sometimes women don't need anything. It's kind of just all in here. And, they're the only person they need to rely on because they're really confident in themselves and really calm, and they know how to keep that going. So a lot of it is kind of internal work. And, I'm sure you have kids, and I'm not sure if you felt that in labor, but it is a very internal experience. Yeah. So I think having that confidence in yourself will kind of show you what you need during your labor, if that makes sense.
No, definitely. Yeah. Cause you can kind of like, yeah, I think it kind of goes back to what you're saying about feeling and understanding your body too. And then kind of the more you want to understand your body, you kind of can feel out what you need in that moment.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love it. I'm learning so much about this. This is really cool. That's awesome. So I always like to end these interviews with what I call fun thinking questions. So if you could have a billboard made today where you could share one tip with moms everywhere, what would you have it say?
Or I had two in my mind, but this one is what I, tell everyone: go with your gut. 100%.
I love that.
Yeah. You don't need to ask anyone, what should I do? Go with your gut. Whatever your gut and whatever your intuition is telling you, that's what you should do.
Perfect. Goes back to the listening to your body, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm
Um,
like a broken record. I say that so much.
but I feel like, yeah, and it doesn't hurt to hear multiple times, because how many times do we like still kind of question our gut, but then like when we go with it, we're like, yep, that's why,
Yes.
it's like our natural like human instinct almost. So where can everyone follow you on Instagram? What other courses do you have? And again, where can they get your classes?
Hypnobirthing Australia, they have a whole list of practitioners there. So, if you wanted in-person classes, then, and you are in Australia, Hypnobirthing Australia, and you can find which practitioners are in your location, or if you're overseas, then it's Hypnobubs. And there are practitioners in many different countries as well. But if you're in Melbourne, Victoria, then my Instagram is the.midwifemummy. And I teach group classes, I teach private classes, in person, on Zoom, and I've also started offering doula support as well. So
Awesome.
that's very exciting.
Cool. Well, this is awesome. I can't wait to share this because I've had a lot of people ask about it in our group, have many questions about it. So this was really awesome to talk with you about. Really appreciate you coming on.
So much. I know I haven't done this before, so
Well, you
it
did
was
great. No, it was
cool.
awesome.
Oh, I could talk about this all day. Like, it's something, it's like word vomit, just keeps coming out.
No, that was perfect. No, that was great. It was Awesome having you on. All right, guys, it's time for our Mom Tales of the Week. And if you're new to Mom Tales, this is our question that we post weekly on our social media just to get your take on motherhood, share your funny stories, your interesting takes, and so much more. So far, they've been so much fun. So this week has all to do with reactions to Santa Claus. They've been so much fun to read so far, so I cannot wait to see what the responses are this week. Again, I read them live. I don't read them beforehand, and my assistant puts it all together for me. So it's kind of fun to read live with you guys. Okay, so this week is what has been your child's best reaction to Santa Claus? And for this question, we were thinking like when they go to visit Santa, or Santa conspiracies that your kids might have, and all those kind of fun stories. So here we go. I'm gonna read our top answers. Okay, first one is Jordan McKinsey. My daughter was born in April of 2019, so she was only 8 months old when she met him for the first time, and it went wonderful. In 2020, we met him again, and she was not a fan. But now in 2021, she loves him and even took photos hugging him, like they're best friends. My thoughts on this are that 2020 was a hard year for everybody, and maybe that's why she wasn't a fan then. Hey, I completely agree with that. Like, once we were kind of getting back out in public again, it was hard for me to talk to most people. So I'm totally with her on that. I get it. Okay, number 2 is from Jazzy Still. My best friend's 4-year-old is deaf and uses ASL most times when out, along with a cochlear implant. He signed help, now, please, help, when she backed away for the photo to be taken. Oh my gosh, that's actually really sad. He's now 13, loves the movie Elf, and likes to sign, "You sit on a throne of lies," when passing mall Santas. Only one has realized what he's signing so far and bursted out laughing, making the kid he was holding on to freak out. Oh my gosh, okay. There's a lot going on there, and that's pretty funny that he signs it every time, and that most Santas don't know what he means, but that's really funny. Hey, kids don't forget stuff like that. If you are traumatized by a Santa, you are going to remember years later, and yeah, it's not everyone's thing. I don't think it's my thing, and I don't think it ever was my thing. Okay, number 3, Dominique Heeks. My daughter looked Santa in the eyes and said, "Not Dad," then blew a raspberry in his face. She's 18 months old. Setting boundaries young, I like it. You know, she knows who she wants to go to, and it's not Dad. So, hey, I like that. Number 4 is Anonymous. When my daughter was 5, she walked into my closet and saw that I had the same wrapping paper that Santa had wrapped her presents in the previous year. Man, what memory. I don't remember what I wrapped a week ago, honestly. She called me out on it and asked why I had Santa's wrapping paper. I had to think on the fly and told her that Santa lets me borrow it and I help him wrap her presents when she's sleeping. It was definitely a close one. Woo, that was a good one. That's tough. I mean, I remember one time as a kid, I was at the store with my parents and my mom was like, "Oh, this would be good for your brother." And she grabbed it, and I don't think thinking like how she was going to give it to him, if it was going to be a gift from mom and dad or a gift from Santa. And then Christmas morning, he opened it with his Santa gifts. It was like in his stocking or something. And I was like, oh my gosh. I already had suspicions at this point. I think I was a little bit older. I wasn't that young, but I didn't ask either. I was just like, I don't want to ruin it for anyone else. Typical. So that's pretty funny. But man, go back to that memory. I cannot remember what I wrapped in the previous year. So how is a 5-year-old remembering the exact wrapping paper? That is really good memory. Smart girl. All right, number 5, Kara Hoffmeyer. My youngest daughter swore she heard Santa Claus in the house, and she woke me up in a panic at 3 a.m. because she really had to pee, but didn't want to scare Santa. It was the cutest thing. That is adorable. Has your daughter watched the movie Santa Claus and didn't want him to fall off the roof? That might be why. That might be why. I know I was scared of that too. As a kid, after seeing that movie, I did not want to scare him and then have my dad become Santa. Like, that's a lot of responsibility. Number 6, Anonymous. Santa visits our family Christmas party every year. My son loves his grandpa and was always so upset that whenever grandpa seemed to leave the room or step outside, that's when Santa would come visit. He was always so sad that his grandpa never got to meet Santa. obviously not realizing that Santa was his grandpa. That is honestly the most pure thing I've ever read. Oh my gosh, I love that so much. He just wanted Santa and Grandpa to meet. That is adorable. I love that. All right, I love that. If anyone, while you're listening to this, you're like, I have a really funny story or about my kids or a funny Santa conspiracy when I was growing up or something, please feel free to go back to the post and share it there. I've been loving reading these. And of course, we do these every single week. We have all kinds of funny questions, deep questions, interesting questions, and so much more in regards to parenting. So check it out. Usually we post them on Fridays. Sometimes we switch up the days. Yeah, check it out. And I will see you for a new interview next week. Thanks for watching. Hey guys, if you found this or any episode of Mom Talks with Krista helpful, please like, comment, subscribe, and of course, share it with your friends. We release new videos every single Wednesday, and our new podcast is out every single Thursday. So lots of different ways you can catch us. And of course, if you're not following us on our socials, go ahead and follow us there. We've got tons of new content for you every single day. And finally, if you're watching this and doubting yourself, you're doing a great job. So thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week.